Hi, folks. This is Rick We Met coming to you with another Red's Bedtime story. And seeing as it's 2021, I'm reflecting, and I'm reflecting over the loss of different people in my life. And one of them was Tony Spilotro. I really didn't know at the time, although I was involved in family secrets, I didn't know at the exact time who did, what did, or all the details of Tony and Mike's murder. But I can tell you this, after Family Secrets and listening to Nick Calabrese's testimony and some of the other things that took place, I can tell you that it was an unusual thing the way it was done. There have been several attempts made on his life by Frank Schweiss. And I'll give you a note, something to take note. In June of 1986, Tony was murdered. And when I heard he went missing, and I saw Alan Ackerman on the news saying they're just probably out on a frolic, and the worst problems they're going to have is when they come home and their wives are upset at them, they'll probably be looking for a good divorce attorney. I was thinking to myself, they're gone. They're absolutely gone. And I went up to my room and got drunk for about maybe 2 weeks. I was very upset over it. I couldn't believe when the bodies were found what they had done. Although I had heard a short synopsis from Frank Schweiss, about what happened. Unfortunately, Frank Schweiss never stood trial. He had cancer, and it turned into lymphatic and brain cancer, and he really didn't know what he was doing. But his attorneys, who were court appointed, they got paid just to keep him, I don't know. They said he was getting better. He really wasn't. He was getting worse. But getting back to it, in 1986, June of 1986, I went to, I called U.S. Attorney's Office. And when I did, I met with Tom Knight, and we met at the Holiday Inn on Madison and Halsted. And I told him to set up a tape recorder right away in my place. And he said, nobody can ever tape Frank. And I said, believe me, this guy talks about everything. I mean, there isn't anything he doesn't miss. And so I talked him into it. They had to go before the judge, get a warrant, and install the unit. But they didn't really install it. They sent the equipment. And after the equipment got there, it took a while to do it. But I was up and running by January of 1987 and collecting as much information on tape as I could. Now, tape means it can be corroborated. One person's testimony, like my testimony against anybody else, there's nobody to corroborate it. But when it's on tape, there's no problem corroborating it. And anyway, what I had heard from Frank was that him and a couple other guys, that's the way he put it, they took Tony out. And I didn't know anything else until later on. Later on, I picked up all the other facts, especially after Nick Calabrese's testimony in Family Secrets. It gave more details. It gave more details about how they were, Tony and Mike, all the people were brought there separately. They were in different cars. So they didn't know who was there or where they were going. And Jimmy Marcello was a big part of that. But long and short was that what had really happened from Nick Calabrese's testimony was Michael was the first one down the basement steps after they'd been softened up with several mob higher-ups in the living room. They had a couple glasses of scotch, and They went downstairs because they thought, Tony thought he was going to be made. He was going to be a capo. And Michael thought he was going to be a maid guy. So long and short of it was this. They were beaten. And some people, well, when Michael went down the stairs, unlike the movie Casino, when Michael went down the stairs first in front of Tony, Nick Calabrese on the stand testified that he grabbed his legs and brought him to the ground. Louis Ebley, who at the time had pancreatic cancer, he put a garrote around his neck and choked him and killed him. And Tony saw that, and he wasn't even down the steps yet. And Schweiss was in there. There was a beat down. I mean, they were kicking these people bad. I mean, with foot, like some street gang. They were just kicking them, and they kicked them to death. They beat them and kicked them to death. Then the bodies were set on the side. Some people went home and never knew what happened. They were just there for muscle. Some people went home because they were the bosses that were upstairs that greeted them to put them at ease. And they left. And after they left, it was, everybody had orders. And the orders, it's like a military operation. Everybody has orders. And so the people that were left behind were told to take the bodies and bring them out by Joey Yuba's Hunt Club out in Indiana. Well, Joey had sold that place and had another place down the road. He used to own that one place at one time. When they got there and they pulled the cars in and they started digging, in the woods there were all kinds of roots and all kinds of stuff. This is at nighttime. And they had the lights on in the one car. There were two cars. They had the lights on in one car. And the battery went dead. But aside from that, even before they discovered the battery was dead, what they did discover was digging in the roots wasn't too good. So they went a few feet over. This is nighttime now. They went a few feet over into a farmer's freshly tilled field. And that was easy soil. They dug a shallow grave and they buried the two men. And they had tremendous difficulties in getting out of there. According to everybody Betty Taco or Albert Taco, Caesar Taco, he said he was one of the guys that was there at the meeting too also. But he said that he was in charge of disposing of the bodies. He said that he called his wife, and it was all being taped because they had a wire on his home phone. But he called his wife and told her to come and get him. So Betty listened to it and whatever. And the thing was, they were in a situation where the one battery went dead on the car. So the other car came to jump it. When the other car came to jump the battery or jump the car so they could start it, it caught fire. So they abandoned that car. But in the meantime, the alternator had fried from jumping it for some reason. And so they were left out there with no transportation home. That's why Taco called his wife. He called her and said, come and pick me up. And that's when it was all known about. It was known about then, but they couldn't prove who did it and how they did it. They had to wait till years later and bring it up at Family Secrets. And some of the people had passed away, gone to prison, but the ones that were alive were waiting. And one of them was Frank Schweiss. And he never went to trial. He never went to trial for one murder that he committed. And he committed a lot of them. As they said, more than his age. Well, it was a lot more than that. It was about 80 to my recollection. But anyway, I lost a friend. I never knew Michael. I had heard of him. I'd seen him once or twice at the Bird's Nest over on Division and Wells Street. I was on Wells Street, so it was an easy walk for me to walk down the street. But the truth of the matter is, Tony was my friend. And to the grave, he took the secret that I gave him. And that was that I was an FBI mole. But anyway, I hope this clears up some of the things that I've been talking about in shows and live shows and on different people's channels. People don't seem to understand how you can have a friend and never discuss that person's business. Never discuss what they do. Well, it happens. And if you look in your own life, you'll probably see that you have friends that you don't tell everybody what they said. Anyway, that's my story for this evening. And God bless you. And have a great evening.